What if the secret to success isn't IQ or luck, but your ability to read people like an open book? My friends, this audiobook reveals the hidden art of social intelligence, the skill that shapes influence, deep connection, and lasting power. Master it, and you will never see the world the same way again. Introduction. To listen the audiobook summary or listen in another language, simply click the settings icon to switch audio tracks, or check the link in the description for more options. What if I told you the real key to unlocking every door in your personal and professional life isn't raw intelligence, charisma, or even luck, but something far more potent and shockingly underdeveloped? Imagine walking into any room and instantly knowing what everyone is feeling, who holds the real power, and exactly what to say to spark trust, connection, and influence. Now imagine doing that consistently, with bosses, partners, strangers, and friends. That skill is called social intelligence, and if you're not developing it, you're already falling behind. We live in a world overflowing with information but starving for genuine connection. In an age of AI, automation, and algorithm-driven everything, there's one thing machines can't truly replicate: our human ability to understand, empathize with, and respond to others. And yet, most people never learn how to truly read people. They can't interpret subtle cues or navigate emotionally charged moments without guessing or feeling anxious. Instead, we stumble through conversations, misread intentions, miss opportunities, and wonder why we feel out of sync with those around us. Here's the truth: intelligence alone won't get you ahead. Emotional sensitivity isn't enough. The real edge, the invisible currency of success, is social intelligence. Let's get clear. Social intelligence is not the same as emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence is about understanding and managing your own emotions. It's personal and inward focused. Social intelligence is different. It's outward. It's about reading others, perceiving, interpreting, and responding in ways that connect and influence. It's recognizing the emotions and intentions behind people's words, silences, and body language. It's knowing when to speak and when to listen, when to push and when to pause. It's why some people are magnetic while others fade into the background, why some leaders inspire loyalty, while others struggle with disengaged teams, why some individuals build powerful networks with ease, while others stay invisible. And here's the twist: social intelligence is not fixed. It's not a gift given to a lucky few. It's a skill, and like any skill, it can be learned, trained, and mastered. This book is not about shallow tips or feel-good quotes. It's a deep dive into the mechanics of social mastery, how to read people with precision, respond with confidence, and leave a lasting impression everywhere you go. You'll discover the unspoken rules that govern connection and trust. You'll learn why you sometimes feel invisible or misunderstood, and how to turn that around. You'll gain practical frameworks you can use in meetings, relationships, interviews, negotiations, and even high-stakes confrontations. We'll explore real-world scenarios, networking events, first dates, heated arguments, boardroom power plays, and break down what socially intelligent people do differently. You'll understand the psychological cues people never say out loud, but always react to. You'll decode both verbal and non-verbal communication, from vocal tone to micro-expressions, and walk away with techniques to thrive, not just survive, socially. But a warning: once you develop social intelligence, you'll start seeing the world differently. You'll notice what's not being said. You'll see how often people speak from fear, insecurity, or habit. You'll recognize how miscommunication derails relationships, how manipulation hides behind smiles, and how fragile and priceless trust really is. You'll begin to see the emotional ecosystem under every interaction, and you'll know exactly how to navigate it. This book is for those ready to move past awkwardness, self-doubt, or social burnout. It's for my warriors who want to be heard, respected, and truly connected. Whether you're introverted or extroverted, ambitious or rebuilding your confidence, you belong here. Because social intelligence isn't about changing who you are. It's about unlocking the most effective, influential version of yourself. And in today's world, that's not just nice to have, it's essential. So here's my challenge to you. What if, by the time you finish this book, you could walk into any conversation, any situation, and know exactly how to connect, lead, and influence? What if you could finally feel completely at ease, knowing you have the tools to navigate any social terrain? If that sparks even a flicker of excitement, comment 100 right now, and keep listening. Because everything you're about to learn will transform the way you think, communicate, and connect. The transformation starts now, and once you see how powerful this is, there's no going back. Comment 100 if you agree, then hit the subscribe button because this account is for you. Let's begin. Chapter 1: The Social Brain. The first step in understanding the power of social intelligence is realizing that human beings are, by nature, deeply social creatures. Our brains are not only wired to think and reason, they are specifically designed to connect with other people. This is not an abstract idea, but a scientific reality backed by decades of research in neuroscience and psychology. Over millions of years, the brain has evolved in ways that allow us to perceive, interpret, and respond to the emotions and actions of others. This intricate network of connections is what we call the social brain. Before diving into the mechanics of the social brain, it's worth recognizing just how constant and significant social interactions are in our daily lives. Every conversation you have, every interaction with a colleague, family member, or even a stranger on the street, requires your brain to process an incredible range of signals, facial expressions, tone of voice, body language, and subtle, unspoken cues that convey meaning far beyond words. Our brain's ability to decode these signals quickly and accurately is proof of how deeply we are embedded in a social context. Without this ability, building and maintaining relationships, whether personal or professional, would be incredibly difficult. In this chapter, we will explore how our brain processes social information, how it enables us to connect with others, and how it shapes our understanding of the world and the people around us. By understanding how our brains are hardwired for social interaction, we can tap into the power of social intelligence to strengthen our relationships, improve our work, and enrich our lives. Understanding the evolutionary roots of the social brain. Our social brains did not appear overnight. They are the product of millions of years of evolution. Like all social animals, early humans needed to form strong bonds with others to survive. In small tribes or larger communities, survival often depended on cooperation and mutual support. Over time, this drive for connection became built into the very structure of our brain. As a result, humans evolved specialized neural systems to navigate the complex web of social interactions. The evolutionary foundation of the social brain can be traced to the development of certain brain areas, including the prefrontal cortex, amygdala, and insula. These regions play key roles in processing emotions, reading facial expressions, and interpreting social cues. They helped our ancestors form alliances, avoid threats, and adapt to ever-changing social environments, advantages that were crucial for survival and that laid the groundwork for the advanced social intelligence we possess today. One of the most fascinating aspects of the human brain is the presence of mirror neurons, specialized cells that allow us to empathize with others. When we observe someone performing an action or experiencing an emotion, these neurons fire in our brain as though we were doing or feeling the same thing ourselves. This enables us to connect emotionally, understand others more deeply, and experience a shared sense of humanity. Mirror neurons are a key component of empathy and a vital part of the social brain. The role of the prefrontal cortex, a social decision maker. Among the most important brain regions for social intelligence is the prefrontal cortex, PFC, located at the front of the brain. The PFC is responsible for higher-level thinking, decision-making, and self-regulation. It enables us to make choices based not only on logic, but also on social and emotional considerations. The PFC helps us weigh the social consequences of our actions, choose behaviors that align with our values, and regulate our impulses in social settings. When you meet someone new, your PFC is busy not just processing their words, but also reading their facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice. It assesses the emotional context of the interaction and helps you decide how to respond, often in a fraction of a second. Over time, these rapid judgments become second nature, allowing us to navigate social situations with ease. The PFC also plays a central role in managing relationships. It helps us maintain self-control during tense moments, whether holding back an inappropriate comment or recognizing the right time to speak up. By processing the emotional and social dimensions of a situation, the PFC guides us through the complexities of group dynamics, both at work and in our personal lives. The amygdala, the emotional signal center. Another key player in the social brain is the amygdala, the brain's emotional alarm system. The amygdala is responsible for detecting potential threats and triggering appropriate emotional responses. This could mean fear when faced with danger, or joy when reuniting with a loved one. But the amygdala's role goes far beyond basic survival instincts. It is deeply involved in social interactions. It helps us interpret emotional signals from others by reading facial expressions, voice tones, and body language. For example, a warm smile and friendly tone signal approachability, while a frown or closed-off posture may indicate discomfort or hostility. These rapid emotional assessments help us navigate social situations quickly and effectively. The amygdala is also central to social learning. It stores emotional experiences and links them to specific people or situations. Over time, this helps refine our understanding of others' emotions and improve our ability to respond appropriately, an essential skill for building social intelligence. The insula, a gateway to empathy. The insula, located deep within the brain, plays a crucial role in empathy. It processes bodily sensations and emotions, helping us feel what others are feeling. The insula is particularly active when processing strong emotions such as pain, disgust, and pleasure, emotions that often arise in social contexts. When we see someone in distress, the insula activates, creating a shared emotional experience that forms the foundation of compassionate behavior. The insula also plays a role in moral decision-making, allowing us to weigh how our actions affect the well-being of others. By helping us tune into others' emotions and respond with understanding, the insula is a key contributor to social intelligence. It ensures that our interactions are not just logical, but also empathetic and humane. The brain's social architecture. The brain's social systems are complex, yet remarkably efficient. From the PFC guiding decision-making, to the amygdala processing emotional signals, to the insula fostering empathy, each part plays a vital role in how we understand and respond to people around us. This chapter has only scratched the surface of how the brain processes social information. In the next sections, we will explore how these neural systems work together to shape behavior, how social intelligence can be developed, and how we can apply it to strengthen relationships and achieve greater success in both personal and professional life. Understanding the social brain is the first step toward mastering social intelligence. By recognizing how deeply we are wired for connection, we can better appreciate the power of empathy, communication, and emotional awareness in building truly meaningful relationships. In the chapters ahead, we'll continue to explore the nuances of social intelligence, giving you the tools to connect with others in ways that are authentic, empathetic, and highly effective. Chapter 2: The Nature of Empathy. Defining empathy and its role in human connection. Empathy is often described as the ability to understand and share the feelings of another person. But it is more than simply feeling for someone else. It is a complex, dynamic process that involves both emotional and cognitive elements. Empathy is the cornerstone of social intelligence, a vital ingredient that enables us to form strong, meaningful connections with the people around us. In simple terms, empathy is what allows us to put ourselves in another person's shoes, to sense what they are feeling and to respond in a way that is both supportive and compassionate. When someone shares their grief, empathy allows us to feel their sadness. When someone experiences joy, empathy allows us to celebrate alongside them. In many ways, it is the thread that binds us to others, enabling us to relate to their emotions and experiences. However, empathy is not a one-size-fits-all concept. It exists in different forms, from the deep emotional resonance we feel when someone close to us is in pain, to the more intellectual recognition of another's emotions in less personal situations. While empathy can sometimes seem automatic, it is also a skill, one shaped by both our biology and our life experiences. In this chapter, we will explore the multiple dimensions of empathy, how it operates in the brain, and how it influences our social interactions. The emotional and cognitive components of empathy. Empathy is commonly understood to have two main components: emotional empathy and cognitive empathy. Emotional empathy is the capacity to directly feel another person's emotions. When someone is sad, we might feel a similar sadness ourselves. This form of empathy allows us to sense and resonate with others' emotional states. It enables us to connect deeply with someone who is grieving or anxious because we can physically feel echoes of their emotions in our own body. Cognitive empathy, on the other hand, is the ability to understand what someone else is feeling even if we are not experiencing those emotions ourselves. It is a more reflective process, the ability to step back, recognize another's emotional state, and make sense of it without becoming emotionally overwhelmed. For example, even if we have never gone through a specific type of loss, cognitive empathy allows us to imagine how that loss might feel for someone else. Both forms of empathy are essential in social interactions. Emotional empathy bonds us to others on a deeply personal level, making it possible to offer genuine comfort and support in moments of distress. Cognitive empathy allows us to navigate complex social situations with insight and perspective. When we balance the two, we can respond in ways that are both compassionate and contextually appropriate. The neuroscience of empathy. Empathy is not only an emotional or social phenomenon, it is also deeply rooted in the brain's structure and function. At its core, empathy is a neurological process, and understanding how the brain supports it can give us a deeper appreciation for its role in our lives. The brain regions most involved in empathy include the anterior insula, the anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, and the mirror neuron system. The insula, which we introduced in Chapter 1, is crucial for both emotional and cognitive empathy. It processes bodily sensations and emotional experiences, activating when we witness someone in pain or distress. This activation allows us to mirror the other person's feelings in our own body, which is why the insula is often referred to as the brain's empathy center. The anterior cingulate cortex, ACC, plays a key role in emotional regulation during empathetic responses. It helps us process the emotions we feel for others and decide how to respond. This regulation prevents us from becoming overwhelmed by another's pain, reducing the risk of emotional burnout and allowing us to respond more effectively. Perhaps most fascinating are mirror neurons, specialized brain cells that fire both when we perform an action and when we see someone else perform the same action. These neurons are central to our ability to understand others' emotions and intentions. When we see someone smile, our mirror neurons fire as though we are smiling ourselves. When we witness someone in pain, the same neurons activate, allowing us to feel a version of their discomfort. This mirroring forms the neurological foundation for both emotional and cognitive empathy. The impact of empathy on social behavior. Empathy profoundly shapes how we behave in social situations. It influences our decisions, guides our actions, and impacts our relationships in subtle yet powerful ways. When we empathize with someone, we are more likely to engage in pro-social behaviors, actions that benefit others and promote harmony. If we see someone struggling, empathy often prompts us to offer comfort, lend assistance, or simply give them our time and attention. This drive to care for others is not only a moral choice, it is an instinctual response woven into the fabric of our social brains. Empathy also plays a critical role in conflict resolution. By understanding the emotions and perspectives of others, we can de-escalate tense situations and find common ground. For instance, during a disagreement, empathizing with the other person's feelings helps us navigate the conversation with compassion and respect rather than reacting defensively. This approach fosters mutual understanding and collaboration. In relationships, empathy is the glue that holds connections together. By showing empathy regularly, we signal that we value others' well-being and are tuned in to their emotional needs. This builds trust, deepens emotional bonds, and encourages long-term loyalty. The limits and challenges of empathy. As powerful as empathy is, it does have its limits. Sometimes we may become emotionally overwhelmed by the pain or distress of others, a condition known as empathic distress or compassion fatigue. When we feel too deeply for someone else, it can be difficult to maintain the emotional balance needed to respond effectively. Empathy fatigue is especially common among caregivers, social workers, and professionals who engage in constant emotional labor. Over time, this emotional exhaustion can lead to burnout and even reduce our ability to empathize. For this reason, it is essential to regulate our emotional responses and practice self-care. Another challenge lies in empathy gaps, situations where differences in background, culture, or experience make it difficult to fully relate to another's emotions or needs. Cultural differences, for example, may create barriers to understanding. In such cases, cognitive empathy becomes particularly valuable. By making the effort to understand someone's perspective intellectually, even when we do not feel the same emotions, we can still connect in an empathetic way. Cultivating and expanding empathy. Like any skill, empathy can be cultivated and strengthened through practice and mindfulness. Developing empathy requires a conscious effort to tune into others' emotions and respond with care and understanding. One of the most effective ways to cultivate empathy is through active listening. When we listen without judgment or distraction, we create space for others to express their feelings fully. This deep listening, paying attention to tone of voice, body language, and emotional cues, strengthens our ability to respond empathetically. Another method is perspective taking, making a deliberate effort to see the world through another person's eyes. This means trying to understand their thoughts, feelings, and experiences, even if we do not share them. Perspective taking is especially powerful for bridging differences in culture, background, or worldview. Finally, practicing empathy requires self-reflection and self-awareness. By reflecting on our own emotional responses and recognizing moments when we might feel disconnected from others, we become more attuned to the needs around us. Empathy is not only about understanding others, it is also about understanding ourselves and how our emotions influence our interactions. Conclusion: empathy is at the core of social intelligence. It enables us to connect deeply with others, fostering trust, compassion, and mutual understanding. It guides pro-social behavior, enhances communication, and helps us navigate complex social situations with sensitivity and insight. As we have seen in this chapter, empathy is a multifaceted skill involving both emotional and cognitive components, supported by key brain regions such as the insula, the anterior cingulate cortex, and the mirror neuron system. While it is an innate human capacity, empathy can also be developed and refined. By consciously cultivating empathy, we can strengthen our social intelligence and build deeper, more meaningful connections with the people around us. Chapter 3: The Power of Nonverbal Communication. We all know that words are an essential part of communication, but research reveals something surprising: up to 93% of communication is nonverbal. This includes facial expressions, body language, posture, tone of voice, and even subtle behavioral shifts, signals that can deliver powerful messages, often without us realizing it. Nonverbal communication is a core element in how we connect and understand one another. It operates on a level far deeper than words, often revealing more about our emotions, intentions, and inner states than we might consciously choose to express. The human brain is remarkably attuned to these cues. From the tilt of a head to the stance someone takes, our minds are constantly decoding a steady flow of nonverbal information. Understanding these signals is critical for building strong, meaningful relationships, both personally and professionally. In this chapter, we'll explore the many forms of nonverbal communication and the psychological principles that shape them. By learning how nonverbal communication works, we can interpret others' emotions and intentions more accurately, and also become more mindful of the signals we project ourselves. The basics of nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication covers a wide range of signals and behaviors. Some of the most common forms include: 1. Facial expressions. Our faces are incredibly expressive, capable of conveying emotions from joy and surprise to sadness and anger. Facial expressions are among the most universally understood forms of communication, transcending cultural barriers. Psychologist Paul Ekman's research shows that people across the globe can recognize basic emotions: happiness, anger, fear, sadness, surprise, and disgust, purely from facial expressions. The key lies in observing subtle muscle movements around the eyes, mouth, and forehead. For example, a genuine smile, known as a Duchenne smile, engages both the mouth and the eyes, while a fake smile typically involves only the mouth. Spotting these nuances can greatly improve our ability to read others' emotional states. 2. Body language and posture. Our bodies communicate a wealth of information, often unconsciously. The way we sit, stand, or move can express confidence, anxiety, openness, defensiveness, or even aggression. Open body language, standing tall, shoulders back, arms uncrossed, signals confidence and approachability. Closed body language, crossed arms, hunched shoulders, or avoiding eye contact, can indicate discomfort, defensiveness, or disinterest. Posture also plays a key role. Leaning forward in conversation often signals engagement, while leaning back may suggest boredom or a desire to disengage. How we position ourselves in relation to others can reveal comfort levels, power dynamics, and emotional connection. 3. Gestures. Hand gestures often accompany speech to emphasize meaning. Some gestures are universal, such as a thumbs up for approval or a wave for greeting or farewell, while others are culturally specific. For instance, crossing fingers for good luck might be understood in one culture but completely meaningless in another. The frequency, intensity, and type of gestures can also indicate emotional states. Nervousness may lead to fidgeting or repetitive movements. Confidence often shows through slow, deliberate, expansive gestures. 4. Eye contact. Eye contact is one of the most powerful non-verbal signals. The saying, "Eyes are the windows to the soul," exists for a reason. They reveal volumes about how we feel. Prolonged eye contact can signal interest, affection, or dominance. Avoiding eye contact may suggest shyness, discomfort, or dishonesty. However, cultural differences are important. In some cultures, sustained eye contact is a sign of respect. In others, it can be considered aggressive or disrespectful. 5. Tone of voice and paralanguage. How we speak can be just as important as what we say. Tone, pitch, speed, and volume, collectively known as paralanguage, add emotional layers to our words. For example, a high-pitched, rapid voice can convey excitement or anxiety. A slow, deep tone may suggest calm authority. Paralanguage also carries sarcasm, affection, or irritation. The same sentence, spoken with a different tone, can have an entirely different meaning. This makes listening to tone and rhythm just as important as the words themselves. The psychology behind nonverbal communication. The power of nonverbal communication lies in its deep connection to the brain's emotional and psychological processes. Multiple brain regions, including the amygdala, prefrontal cortex, and insula, play key roles in decoding and generating these signals. 1. The amygdala and emotional response. The amygdala processes emotions, especially fear and threat detection. When we observe nonverbal cues such as a tense posture or frown, the amygdala quickly assesses whether the signal is positive or negative and triggers an emotional reaction accordingly. This instant evaluation helps us decide how to respond, whether to approach, avoid, or proceed with caution. 2. The prefrontal cortex and social processing. The prefrontal cortex plays a key role in evaluating social situations and regulating our responses. When we notice nonverbal cues, this part of the brain helps us decide how to act based on the relationship and environment. For example, if someone is displaying closed body language, the prefrontal cortex may guide us to respond with empathy and caution rather than being confrontational or overly assertive. 3. The insula and empathy. The insula processes bodily sensations and emotions, particularly those linked to empathy. When we observe a sad expression or tense posture, the insula helps us resonate with that person's emotions, allowing us to understand and connect with what they're feeling. This brain-body link is central to our capacity for compassion and empathetic responses. The role of nonverbal communication in building trust and rapport. Nonverbal communication is fundamental in developing trust and rapport, the foundation of all meaningful relationships. Often, nonverbal cues serve as the first indicators of trustworthiness or doubt. A warm smile, a firm handshake, or open posture can instantly signal approachability and reliability. In contrast, avoiding eye contact, crossing arms, or fidgeting may suggest discomfort or dishonesty. One particularly powerful aspect of nonverbal communication is its ability to create a sense of connection through mirroring, subtly matching another person's body language, posture, or gestures. Mirroring naturally communicates that we are in sync with the other person, fostering rapport and signaling empathy and understanding. Nonverbal cues also enhance the effectiveness of verbal messages. When our words and body language align, they create coherence and authenticity. For instance, if someone says, "I'm happy to see you," while crossing their arms and avoiding eye contact, the message feels insincere. But when that same statement is delivered with open posture, a genuine smile, and steady eye contact, it feels authentic and trustworthy. How to improve your nonverbal communication skills. Becoming aware of your own nonverbal signals, and learning to interpret those of others, is a powerful way to strengthen your social intelligence. Here are some strategies. 1. Increase awareness. Pay attention to your own body language. Are your posture, expressions, and gestures conveying openness, warmth, and interest? Are you maintaining appropriate eye contact? Self-awareness allows you to shape how others perceive you and helps you engage more authentically. 2. Observe others. Notice the non-verbal cues of people around you, their expressions, posture, and tone of voice. Try to interpret the emotions and intentions behind them. This heightened awareness will make it easier to respond with empathy. 3. Practice active listening. Nonverbal communication isn't only about what you express, it's also about what you notice. Active listening means paying attention not just to someone's words but also to their tone, gestures, and facial expressions. Fully engaging in conversations enables you to respond more thoughtfully and compassionately. Nonverbal communication is an essential pillar of social intelligence. It enables us to express emotions, establish trust, and connect with others on a deeper level. By becoming more mindful of our own nonverbal cues and learning to interpret those of others, we can navigate social situations with greater skill, build stronger relationships, and communicate with authenticity and impact. Chapter 4: Emotional Intelligence and its Role in Social Interactions. The concept of emotional intelligence. Emotional intelligence, EQ, refers to the ability to recognize, understand, and manage our own emotions, as well as to recognize, understand, and influence the emotions of others. Unlike intellectual intelligence, IQ, which focuses primarily on cognitive abilities and problem-solving skills, emotional intelligence emphasizes emotional awareness, empathy, and interpersonal skills. This concept, popularized by psychologist Daniel Goleman in the mid-1990s, has since been widely recognized as a key factor in both personal and professional success. Emotional intelligence is essential for effective communication and social interaction because it helps us navigate the complex web of emotions underlying most human behavior. EQ shapes how we perceive ourselves and others, how we respond to situations, and how we connect with people on a deeper level. Emotional intelligence consists of several core components that work together to strengthen our social and emotional functioning. Self-awareness, the ability to recognize and understand our own emotions, as well as their impact on our thoughts and behaviors. When we are self-aware, we can accurately assess how we feel and why we feel that way, enabling us to respond thoughtfully to situations. It also helps us identify our strengths and weaknesses, leading to better decisions and more appropriate actions in both personal and professional contexts. Self-regulation, the ability to control and manage our emotions, especially in stressful or challenging situations. Self-regulation is vital for maintaining composure and emotional balance when faced with conflict, frustration, or other intense emotions. People with high EQ are skilled at managing impulses, staying calm under pressure, and making deliberate, thoughtful decisions rather than reacting hastily. Motivation involves setting and working toward goals aligned with our values and desires. Emotionally intelligent individuals tend to be more driven, resilient, and committed to their objectives. Their self-awareness and self-regulation skills help them persevere through challenges, maintain a positive attitude, and sustain motivation even in difficult times. Empathy, the ability to understand and share the feelings of others. Empathy is crucial for building strong relationships because it allows us to connect on an emotional level, providing support and understanding when needed most. Those with high empathy listen attentively, recognize emotional cues, and respond in compassionate, constructive ways. Social skills, the ability to communicate effectively, build relationships, and collaborate with others. Social skills are the practical application of emotional intelligence, enabling us to use emotional awareness and empathy to navigate interactions, resolve conflicts, and positively influence people. How emotional intelligence impacts social interactions. Emotional intelligence plays a pivotal role in shaping how we connect with others, handle conflicts, and build relationships. At its core, EQ allows us to tune into the emotional undercurrents influencing social dynamics, making it easier to understand others' motivations, concerns, and needs. In many ways, emotional intelligence acts as a form of social radar, enabling us to detect subtle emotional signals and respond appropriately. For example, in any interaction, we don't only hear the words someone says, we also notice their tone of voice, body language, and facial expressions. These non-verbal cues carry important emotional information that guides our responses. People with high EQ are especially skilled at reading these signals, allowing them to handle social situations with greater ease and confidence. They can identify when someone is feeling anxious, frustrated, or sad and adjust their behavior to offer support or empathy. In contrast, those with low emotional intelligence may fail to recognize such cues, leading to misunderstandings or awkward interactions. One of the most significant ways EQ enhances social interactions is through the development of empathy. Empathy allows us to step into someone else's shoes and truly understand their emotional experience. Unlike sympathy, which is feeling pity or sorrow for someone, empathy involves sharing in their emotional journey. This connection builds rapport, trust, and deeper relationships. When we demonstrate empathy, we create a sense of emotional safety, encouraging others to open up and engage with us. This is especially valuable in both personal and professional relationships, where trust and communication are essential for success. Empathetic individuals tend to listen better, respond more considerately, and remain attuned to others' needs. They are also more likely to engage in pro-social behaviors, such as offering assistance, which strengthens bonds and fosters cooperation. Emotional intelligence is equally important in conflict resolution. Disagreements are inevitable in social settings, but how we manage them greatly affects the outcome. People with high EQ regulate their emotions and approach conflicts with a calm, measured mindset rather than reacting impulsively or aggressively. They take time to understand all perspectives, seek constructive resolutions, and work toward common ground. They can diffuse tense situations, facilitate open communication, and maintain respect, even when emotions run high. Conversely, those with low EQ may become defensive, argumentative, or dismissive, escalating tension and harming relationships. By understanding and managing our emotions, We become better equipped to handle disagreements in ways that promote collaboration and preserve mutual respect. Way that promotes collaboration and mutual respect. Furthermore, emotional intelligence is essential for building and maintaining positive relationships, both personally and professionally. Strong relationships are built on trust, communication, and mutual respect, and emotional intelligence strengthens each of these foundations. When we are emotionally intelligent, we are more likely to communicate clearly, show empathy, and resolve conflicts constructively, all of which lead to more resilient, long-lasting connections. In professional settings, emotional intelligence is particularly valuable. It enables individuals to collaborate more effectively, lead teams with skill, and navigate the complex social dynamics of the workplace. Leaders with high EQ are more likely to inspire loyalty, motivate their teams, and cultivate a positive work environment. They also manage stress more effectively, staying focused under pressure, which allows them to make better decisions and lead by example. Emotional intelligence is equally important for networking and relationship building. It helps individuals connect on a personal level, establish rapport quickly, and develop trust, laying the foundation for meaningful professional and personal connections. The benefits of emotional intelligence. The benefits of emotional intelligence are both vast and far-reaching. Research consistently shows that people with high EQ tend to experience greater success in every area of life. They are more likely to have fulfilling relationships, higher job satisfaction, and better mental health. This is largely because emotional intelligence equips us to manage our emotions effectively, navigate social situations with ease, and cultivate stronger, more supportive relationships. People with high EQ are also more resilient when facing adversity. Their ability to regulate emotional responses to stress allows them to maintain a positive outlook and persevere in challenging circumstances. This resilience is particularly valuable in today's fast-paced, unpredictable world, where change and uncertainty are constant. In addition to improving relationships and mental health, emotional intelligence is linked to better physical health. Studies suggest that those with high EQ are less prone to stress-related illnesses such as high blood pressure and heart disease. The ability to manage emotions in a healthy way helps reduce the harmful effects of chronic stress, leading to improved immune function and overall well-being. Another significant benefit is its impact on leadership skills. Leaders with high EQ are more effective at inspiring and motivating their teams, resolving conflicts, and fostering a positive work culture. They understand the emotional needs of their employees and provide the guidance and support necessary for success. Research shows that emotionally intelligent leaders earn greater trust and respect from their teams, which boosts engagement, productivity, and job satisfaction. Moreover, high EQ enables leaders to consider the emotional implications of their decisions, allowing them to make choices that are both strategic and compassionate. How to develop emotional intelligence. While emotional intelligence comes more naturally to some, it is also a skill that can be developed and strengthened over time. Improving EQ involves building self-awareness, practicing emotional regulation, and developing empathy and social skills. Here are some proven strategies. Practice self-reflection. Self-awareness is the foundation of emotional intelligence, and it begins with taking time to reflect on your emotions, thoughts, and behaviors. Ask yourself how you felt during various interactions, what triggered those emotions, and how your responses affected the outcome. Journaling can be a valuable tool, helping you process your thoughts and emotions in a constructive way. Regulate your emotions. Emotional regulation can be strengthened through mindfulness and relaxation techniques. Practices like deep breathing, meditation, or progressive muscle relaxation can help you remain calm and focused in stressful situations. By managing your emotions, you reduce impulsive reactions and respond more thoughtfully to challenges. Develop empathy. Empathy is a core component of EQ and can be cultivated through active listening and perspective taking. Focus on listening attentively without interrupting or judging, and try to understand others' emotions and experiences. Respond with support and compassion to build trust and connection. Enhance your social skills. Social skills are the practical application of emotional intelligence. Work on building rapport, resolving conflicts constructively, and communicating effectively. Practice being open, approachable, and assertive to strengthen your relationships. Final thoughts. Emotional intelligence is a powerful tool that can transform how we relate to others, manage our emotions, and navigate social situations. By developing our EQ, we can build stronger relationships, handle conflicts more effectively, and achieve greater success in both personal and professional life. EQ is not only about being aware of our own emotions, it's also about understanding the emotions of others, regulating our responses, and using that awareness to create meaningful, positive connections. As we continue to strengthen our emotional intelligence, we unlock the potential to deepen relationships, improve communication, and become more empathetic, compassionate individuals. Chapter 5: Mastering the Art of Communication, Unlocking the Power to Connect. Have you ever been in a room where every word felt right, yet something between people still rang false? Perhaps the sentence matched, but the tone betrayed the speaker, the smile didn't reach the eyes, or silence carried more meaning than any sentence. My friends, this is the hidden difficulty of communication. It is rarely only about words. It is the web of voice, posture, timing, and attention that decides whether meaning travels or gets lost. Understanding the importance of effective communication starts with recognizing that it is the backbone of every human relationship, whether personal or professional. Communication is the primary tool we use to express what we feel, to connect with others, and to navigate the complex tangle of emotions, ideas, and intentions that lie beneath our interactions. Many people assume communication is simply speaking and listening, but it is far more nuanced than that. True communication requires the ability to convey ideas, emotions, and intentions clearly while also understanding and responding to the messages others are sending. Effective communication is a key determinant of success in nearly every area of life. It fosters strong relationships, helps us advance in careers, and resolves conflicts. Without it, misunderstanding, frustration, and isolation become likely, often leading to avoidable conflict and disconnection. By mastering the art of communication, we can build better relationships, collaborate more efficiently, and navigate the challenges of everyday life with greater ease. At its core, communication is a two-way process. It involves not only transmitting information but also receiving and interpreting it. The message we send may be verbal or non-verbal, and both forms play a crucial role in shaping how our message is received. Verbal communication, the use of words, is what most people first think of when they consider communication. Yet research has shown that a significant portion of meaning is carried through non-verbal channels. Some estimates suggest that as much as 93% of communication's emotional content comes from tone and body signals, not just the words themselves. When our words and non-verbal cues align, our communication is more likely to be clear and compelling. When they do not, confusion and misinterpretation fast follow. Consider, for example, someone who says, "I understand," but their arms are crossed and their jaw is tight. The words claim agreement, while the body says otherwise. That mismatch breeds doubt. Awareness of both verbal and nonverbal elements is therefore essential, because they work together to convey meaning and influence the impact of our message. Effective communication also depends on emotional intelligence. Being emotionally aware of ourselves and others lets us choose words that fit the moment, respond with empathy rather than reaction, and engage in active listening. Emotional intelligence asks us to be present in conversations, not merely to hear, but to notice tone, to watch expression, and to notice what is not said. Presence transforms dialogue from a transaction into a connection. Active listening is one of the most powerful skills in this toolkit. Many people assume communication is mostly about speaking, yet listening is just as, if not more, important. Active listening means fully concentrating on the speaker, understanding their message, responding thoughtfully, and remembering what they said. It requires more than passively hearing words. It demands that we pay attention to tone, body language, and the emotional state beneath the words, while suspending judgment and offering constructive feedback. When we listen actively, we show respect for another person's perspective and we build trust. When we fail to listen, by interrupting, zoning out, or simply waiting for our turn to speak, we risk alienation and confusion. Simple techniques help. Paraphrasing is useful. Restate the speaker in your own words so they can confirm or correct, "So you mean?" Summarizing collects the key points and keeps everyone grounded. Asking clarifying questions such as, "Can you say more about that?" invites deeper insight and keeps assumptions in check. These moves create space and safety in conversation. If you've ever felt misunderstood because someone wasn't truly listening, comment, "Agree with you." That simple act names the problem and invites others into the practice of deeper attention. Words matter, but tone and body language often carry more of the emotional load. Words have denotative meanings, and they carry connotative, emotional shades that alter how a message lands. The tone of voice gives life to words. It signals enthusiasm, uncertainty, sarcasm, calm, or agitation. Body language, facial expressions, eye contact, posture, gestures, and the physical distance between people, provides context that often reveals what words hide. For instance, maintaining eye contact during a conversation shows attentiveness and respect, while avoiding eye contact may be read as discomfort, distraction, or even dishonesty. Nonverbal communication, the silent language of interaction, is critical because it frequently expresses the truth behind our words. A warm, genuine smile can communicate friendliness and approachability. A frown or tightened lips can signal displeasure. The alignment of voice, posture, and expression gives the listener a coherent signal. When these signals contradict the spoken message, the listener will often trust the nonverbal cues over the words. That is why self-awareness about the signals we send is so important. Our bodies reveal more than we sometimes intend. To elevate your communication skills, develop both verbal and nonverbal abilities. Practice active listening daily. Make a habit of being present. Remove distractions, focus on the speaker, and listen for feeling as well as facts. Be mindful of your word choices, because small phrasing differences can change meaning dramatically. Pay attention to your tone. Does it match your intention? Check your posture and gestures. Do they support what you are saying? Learn to read the emotional undercurrents of a conversation and respond with curiosity rather than assumption. To make this concrete, here are practical steps you can apply today. First, practice the pause. Before answering, take one beat to gather what you heard. Pausing reduces reactive replies and gives you time to choose words that reflect intention rather than impulse. Second, name the emotion. When appropriate, state the feeling you detect. It sounds like you're frustrated, which validates the speaker and invites correction if you have misread the tone. Third, ask open questions that invite depth. What happened next? Or, how did that make you feel? These prompts unlock nuance and build trust. Another useful habit is to monitor congruence. After you speak, check whether your face, hands, and tone match your words. If you mean to be reassuring, soften your voice and relax your posture. If you intend to set a boundary, keep your tone calm but firm, and maintain steady eye contact without being aggressive. These small adjustments dramatically increase the chance your message will be heard as intended. It helps to learn a few short scripts for common conversations. For feedback, I appreciate X. I noticed Y. I'd like Z balances affirmation with clarity. For apologies, I'm sorry for X. I understand how that affected you. I will do Y differently, restores trust faster than vague remorse. For setting limits, I can't take X on right now. Here is what I can do instead, keeps relationships respectful while protecting your bandwidth. Culture and context also shape how messages land. What seems direct and honest in one setting may feel blunt in another. Notice the norms of the people you speak with and adapt accordingly without losing authenticity. Technology further complicates things. Texts, emails, and instant messages remove tone and body language, so choose words carefully and favor a short clarifying call when emotion or complexity is involved. Practice makes permanent. Try a weekly check-in with someone you trust. Spend 5 minutes each conversation practicing paraphrasing and naming emotions. Use recordings, with permission, to hear how your tone sounds. Many are surprised by differences between self-perception and recorded speech. Over weeks, these practices become second nature, and you'll notice more ease and fewer misunderstandings in both small daily interactions and high-stakes conversations. When conflicts arise, and they will, effective communication becomes the bridge back to connection. Use clear, calm language to express your experience rather than to accuse. Start sentences with, I feel, rather than, you always, which shifts the focus from blame to lived experience. Reflect back what you heard before responding. This slows reactivity and opens space for mutual understanding. Finally, be kind to yourself in the learning process. Communication is messy because we are human. We make mistakes, we get defensive, and sometimes we speak before we think. The goal is not perfection but progress. Celebrate small wins. A meeting that ended with clarity rather than resentment, a relationship repaired through honest conversation, or a moment when you felt truly heard. We are on this path together, warriors, learning to listen better, speak more clearly, and hold space for one another. If you've ever felt unseen or misunderstood because someone wasn't listening, comment, agree with you. Let's create a community where people feel heard and respected. Subscribe for more practical insights. Join us and let's grow as communicators, together. Chapter 6: The Power of Empathy in Communication. Empathy is often described as the ability to understand and share the feelings of another. It's a cornerstone of emotional intelligence and plays a vital role in meaningful communication. In fact, empathy is one of the defining traits that separates truly effective communicators from those who struggle to build deep connections. Without empathy, communication can feel transactional, superficial, or even alienating. But when empathy is present, it forms a bridge between people, enabling deeper understanding and trust. Empathy invites us to step out of our own viewpoint and into the world of another person, seeing through their eyes, feeling through their heart. It allows us to listen not just to the words spoken, but to the emotions, needs, and desires hidden beneath them. Empathy sharpens our social intelligence, helping us respond in ways that are sensitive and respectful. This fosters mutual trust and understanding. In this chapter, we'll explore the nature of empathy, its impact on communication, and practical ways to develop this essential skill. Empathy versus sympathy. The first step in understanding empathy is recognizing that it goes beyond sympathy. Sympathy is when we feel pity or sorrow for someone's misfortune. Empathy is deeper. It's experiencing someone's emotions as if they were our own. This doesn't mean we lose our emotional perspective or get overwhelmed by their feelings. Instead, we open ourselves to truly understanding and sharing their emotional experience. This deeper connection creates powerful bonds and strengthens relationships. On the flip side, a lack of empathy often leads to misunderstandings, frustration, and emotional distance. Empathy calls for attentive listening, engaging with both our minds and hearts, and responding with genuine care rather than judgment. It also paves the way for better problem solving because we're able to grasp the real motivations and concerns of others. Empathy is more than intellectual understanding, it's about emotional connection. Without it, even the kindest words can feel hollow. But when we genuinely empathize, our actions and support resonate far more deeply. Two types of empathy: cognitive and emotional. There are two main types of empathy, cognitive and emotional, and both are vital for meaningful relationships. Understanding their differences helps us adapt our approach. Cognitive empathy is the ability to understand another person's perspective or point of view. It means intellectually putting ourselves in their shoes, grasping their reasoning, beliefs, and worldview. This is especially valuable in problem solving, negotiations, or resolving conflicts. For example, when a colleague has a different opinion, cognitive empathy helps us understand their reasoning, even if we disagree. This leads to respectful, productive discussions rather than defensiveness. In professional settings, it enables collaboration, clear communication, and finding common ground. Emotional empathy, on the other hand, is feeling what another person feels, sharing in their joy, sadness, frustration, or fear. It creates a deep, visceral bond, allowing us to respond with genuine compassion. For instance, if a friend is grieving, emotional empathy allows us to truly feel their pain and offer comfort that comes from the heart. This type of empathy fosters emotional intimacy in personal relationships. However, it can also be intense, sometimes leading to emotional burnout if boundaries aren't maintained. Balancing emotional empathy with cognitive empathy ensures healthy, sustainable connections. The role of empathy in building trust and connection. Empathy is a core driver of trust. When we show empathy, we send a powerful message: I see you, I hear you, and I care. This creates psychological safety, an environment where people can be open without fear of judgment. Trust is the foundation of every strong relationship, and empathy is one of its main building blocks. When people feel understood, they're more likely to be honest, open, and engaged. On the other hand, when empathy is absent, communication often breaks down into misunderstanding and disconnection. Empathy also fosters belonging. When our feelings are acknowledged and validated, we feel closer to the other person. In personal relationships, this deepens emotional intimacy. In professional settings, it improves teamwork, collaboration, and problem solving. In conflict resolution, empathy helps us see beyond winning an argument. It encourages listening, understanding, and cooperation, turning confrontation into collaboration. It also reveals the emotional needs driving a conflict, allowing us to address them with compassion. How to cultivate empathy in everyday life. While some people are naturally empathetic, empathy is a skill we can all develop. Here are 5 practical ways to strengthen it. Practice active listening. Fully engage with the speaker. Pay attention to their words, tone, and body language. Avoid interrupting or jumping in with advice. Listening deeply shows you value their feelings, which builds trust. Put yourself in their shoes. Imagine walking through life from their perspective. Ask yourself, what might they be feeling? What challenges are they facing? This exercise helps you respond with deeper compassion. Validate their emotions. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can say is, "I can see that you're really frustrated." This simple acknowledgement helps people feel understood and respected. Be fully present. Put down distractions and give your full attention. Being present shows that you value the conversation and the person in front of you. Express compassion and support. Respond with words and actions that comfort and encourage, whether it's a kind message, a listening ear, or practical help. Comment, agree with you, if you feel empathy is the bridge we all need more of. Overcoming the challenges of empathy. Empathy isn't always easy. Emotional exhaustion, personal biases, and cultural differences can get in the way. When we're drained, it's harder to be present for others, so self-care and boundaries are essential. Biases can also block true understanding, especially with people from different backgrounds. Overcoming them means staying curious, questioning our assumptions, and being willing to see the world in new ways. Empathy is the heart of effective communication. It builds trust, nurtures understanding, and creates meaningful human connection. Whether in personal life or at work, empathy allows us to navigate relationships with compassion and respect. By practicing active listening, stepping into others' shoes, validating emotions, staying present, and showing compassion, we can strengthen our empathy and transform the way we connect. Subscribe for more insights on mastering the art of connection. Chapter 7: Mastering Emotional Regulation in Interpersonal Dynamics. The pillar of emotional self-awareness. Emotional regulation begins with emotional self-awareness. Before we can manage what we feel, we must be able to identify and understand our emotions with clarity and honesty. This awareness goes beyond simply labeling feelings as anger, sadness, joy, or anxiety. It's about tracing them back to their roots, understanding their triggers, and becoming conscious of the stories we attach to them. When we feel slighted in a conversation, are we truly upset by the other person's words, or are we reacting to an old wound or a perceived threat to our identity? When we find ourselves shutting down emotionally, is it because the topic doesn't interest us, or because we feel unsafe in the moment? Developing this depth of self-awareness requires consistent reflection and an openness to examine our inner world without defensiveness. In high-stakes or emotionally charged social interactions, this self-awareness becomes the compass that guides us. Without it, we are more likely to act on impulse, misread intentions, and respond in ways that harm relationships rather than heal or strengthen them. With it, we gain the ability to pause, assess, and choose our responses intentionally, rather than being swept away by reactive emotions. Emotional regulation as an intentional practice. Contrary to popular belief, emotional regulation is not about suppressing feelings or pretending they don't exist. Instead, it's about managing our emotional responses so they fit the context and align with our goals. Regulation involves both understanding and directing our emotions, choosing how and when to express them, and finding healthy, constructive ways to process and release them. It may mean taking a deep breath before speaking in frustration, delaying a response when triggered, expressing disappointment without blame, or setting a boundary with calm confidence instead of passive aggression. Effective regulation can also include reframing negative thoughts, using physical movement to release tension, and practicing mindfulness to stay grounded in the present moment. Over time, these intentional choices become more natural. We stop being controlled by our emotions and instead work with them as signals, not obstacles. This transforms how we connect with others, helping us become trustworthy, consistent, and resilient partners in communication. The role of emotional regulation in de-escalating conflict. Conflict is inevitable in any meaningful relationship. In emotionally charged moments, we're often tempted to defend ourselves, lash out, shut down, or retreat, natural reactions rooted in the body's stress response. However, unregulated emotional reactions tend to escalate conflict rather than resolve it. Regulation allows us to remain calm under pressure, think clearly when tension is high, and choose to respond rather than react. Imagine a heated argument with a friend. If one person raises their voice, the instinct may be to match it, or withdraw completely. But with regulation, we can pause, breathe, and choose differently, perhaps lowering our tone, naming the emotion in the room, or expressing a desire to find common ground. This doesn't mean ignoring our frustration or needs. It means expressing them in a way that keeps dialogue open. When even one person stays regulated, it can soothe the tension and encourage the other person toward calmer, more productive conversation. If you've ever experienced that shift, you know how powerful it can be. Comment, agree with you, if you feel this. Building tolerance for emotional discomfort. A hidden part of emotional regulation is emotional tolerance. The ability to sit with uncomfortable feelings without rushing to fix, escape, or avoid them. Social situations often bring discomfort, the awkwardness of confrontation, the vulnerability of asking for what we need, the uncertainty of being misunderstood, or the sadness of witnessing someone's pain. If we can't tolerate these emotions, we might avoid crucial conversations, respond superficially, or detach emotionally. Tolerance lets us stay present with discomfort long enough to move through it instead of around it. For example, if a teammate criticizes our work during a meeting, the first wave of embarrassment or defensiveness may hit hard. But with emotional tolerance, we can sit with that feeling, remember it's temporary, and respond in a way that preserves the relationship, perhaps thanking them for the feedback and showing willingness to improve. With practice, we become less afraid of hard emotions and more skilled at navigating them gracefully. This deepens our resilience and maturity as communicators. Regulating emotions to enhance empathic presence. Regulating our emotions is not only about managing our own inner state, it also shapes how present and attuned we can be to others. When our inner world is chaotic, it's hard to fully engage with another person's reality. Emotional regulation creates the internal space to listen, stay curious, and truly empathize. If we enter a conversation anxious and self-focused, we may miss subtle cues that the other person is hurting. But when we're calm, grounded, and regulated, we notice shifts in tone, pauses, and the emotions beneath their words. This kind of presence says, "I see you. I'm here with you. I care." It is the foundation of deep connection. Without regulation, we may react from projection or defensiveness. With it, we respond from understanding and care. Navigating power dynamics through emotional control. Emotional regulation becomes even more vital in situations with power dynamics, leadership, mentoring, parenting, or negotiations. When we hold authority, our emotional responses carry greater weight. A manager snapping in frustration can crush morale for days. A parent exploding in anger can leave lasting wounds. But leaders who regulate their emotions model maturity and self-control, creating a culture of respect and psychological safety. Regulation here means staying steady during provocation, giving feedback without shaming, and leading with calm clarity in crisis. It also involves managing our insecurities and ego so they don't spill into communication. In negotiations, it helps us think strategically, advocate without aggression, and listen actively, even under pressure. Training the brain for emotional regulation. The good news: emotional regulation is a trainable skill. Thanks to neuroplasticity, we can rewire our responses with consistent practice. Mindfulness meditation, journaling, deep breathing, and body awareness techniques are powerful tools for this. Mindfulness teaches us to observe emotions without judgment, weakening their hold. Journaling helps process feelings through reflection. Deep breathing activates the parasympathetic nervous system, calming stress and restoring safety. Over time, these practices strengthen the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain that controls impulses, and quiet the amygdala, which drives fear and reactivity. The result? We become less reactive, more centered, and better able to stay composed under stress, directly enhancing our social intelligence. Real-world applications of emotional regulation. In romantic relationships, misunderstandings can quickly spiral if both partners are reactive. But if one person pauses, breathes, and speaks calmly, the dynamic can change dramatically. "I feel hurt when you cancel plans without telling me," invites connection far more than "you never respect my time." In the workplace, a leader who feels defensive about feedback might still say, "I appreciate your honesty. I'd like to understand more." In family life, a parent faced with a teenager's anger might choose curiosity. "It seems like something's bothering you. Want to talk about it?" rather than reacting with frustration. Regulation doesn't erase emotion. It allows us to express it in ways that build clarity, connection, and trust. The long-term rewards of emotional mastery. Mastering emotional regulation reshapes the way we experience life. We become less ruled by emotional storms and more anchored in our values. We respond with greater composure, wisdom, and compassion. Relationships become more responsive and less reactive, rooted in understanding rather than drama. We trust ourselves, knowing that no matter what emotions arise, we can handle them with integrity and care. That self-trust radiates outward, helping others feel safe, seen, and respected in our presence. Over time, regulation becomes a quiet but powerful strength, an energy that elevates every interaction we have. If you had not followed, please subscribe for more. Chapter 8: Decoding the Unspoken. Mastering Nonverbal Communication, the language beneath words. Every conversation has two layers. One is the spoken dialogue you hear. The other is the invisible current flowing beneath it, often more honest, instinctive, and powerful than any words could be. This hidden current is body language, the heartbeat of nonverbal communication. It's the subtle symphony of movement, expression, posture, and orientation that frames and colors our interactions. The way someone holds their shoulders can whisper confidence or betray anxiety. A glance can radiate warmth or deliver contempt. A slight pull back of the head might reveal doubt, disapproval, or discomfort, even if their words seem agreeable. What's fascinating is that body language operates both involuntarily and habitually, quietly exposing our subconscious emotions to anyone truly paying attention. People can manage their words, but far fewer can fully control their non-verbal signals. This is what makes body language such a powerful skill for those of us striving to deepen our social intelligence. But here's the key: mastery isn't about memorizing rigid rules, like assuming someone is lying because they glance up to the left. True skill comes from holistic observation, reading gestures in the full emotional context of the conversation, and recognizing that every individual has their own style of expression. Your friend may bite their lip when nervous, while another person fidgets when bored. Instead of forcing preset meanings onto these actions, socially intelligent people notice patterns and ask inwardly, is this normal for them? Has something shifted? Do their words match their body? When we view people as complex living narratives, not textbooks, we move from decoding them to truly understanding them. By paying attention to facial expressions, posture shifts, breathing rhythms, and proximity, we unlock emotional truths that might never be spoken, yet are essential to building trust and deep human connection. If you're feeling this truth right now, comment, "Agree with you," before reading on. The art of attunement, mirroring, empathy, and presence. Noticing body language is just the beginning. The deeper art is attunement, emotionally and physically syncing with others to create resonance and connection. Attunement isn't simply mimicking posture or parroting tone. It's tapping into the emotional current of a conversation so that your body, face, and energy reflect an authentic sense of presence. When we're attuned, we naturally mirror expressions, match tone, and align our gestures. This mirroring triggers a neurological feedback loop called limbic resonance, where both people feel safer, more understood, and deeply connected. For example, when someone is grieving and speaks softly through tears, attunement means lowering your voice, softening your expression, and honoring their pain without rushing to fill the silence. In intense negotiations, attunement may mean leaning in slightly, maintaining a calm but engaged posture, nodding slowly, and holding steady, yet comfortable, eye contact. These cues show you're fully present and open to dialogue. But a word of caution, attunement only works when rooted in genuine empathy. If you use body language as a manipulation tool, people will sense the inauthenticity immediately. Few things destroy trust faster than a mismatch between someone's words and demeanor. When attunement is real, it creates a magnetic effect. The other person feels valued, not just for their words, but for their feelings. We, in turn, sense their emotions in real time, responding with a natural rhythm that requires no script. This is embodied empathy, using our own body as a finely tuned instrument for connection. It allows conversations to unfold organically and creates bonds that words alone can't achieve. Navigating cultural, personal, and contextual differences. Perhaps the most challenging and rewarding part of mastering nonverbal communication is learning to navigate the vast differences in how people, cultures, and situations express and interpret cues. Assuming every gesture means the same thing across all contexts is a trap. In some cultures, direct eye contact signals respect and confidence. In others, it can seem rude or even aggressive. A smile might express joy in one place but serve as a polite mask elsewhere. Even within a single culture, nonverbal styles vary widely due to upbringing, personality, emotional conditioning, and neurological wiring. A neurodivergent person might avoid eye contact, not from disrespect, but because it feels overwhelming. Someone with a trauma history might flinch at a raised voice, even if the tone is passionate, not hostile. Fluency in nonverbal communication requires humility and curiosity. It means pausing snap judgments and asking, what might this signal mean for this person, in this moment? We must read patterns over time, not just isolated gestures. A person who always speaks with folded arms may simply find it comfortable. But if they fold their arms suddenly during an emotional moment, that change could signal a shift in their inner state. In today's interconnected world, cultural fluency is vital. The expressions, gestures, and personal space you consider normal may carry completely different meanings elsewhere. To avoid miscommunication, socially intelligent individuals observe first, then clarify when needed. We learn to attune not only to individuals but also to cultural contexts, understanding that sensitivity to differences isn't a weakness. It's a superpower. Expanding our awareness reduces assumptions, deepens empathy, and fosters inclusivity. This ability to read beyond words, across personalities, backgrounds, and situations, equips us to respond with grace, appropriateness, and authenticity to anyone we encounter. And that, my friends, is how we move from simply talking to truly connecting. Subscribe for more insights on Mastering Human Connection. Chapter 9: Emotional Currents. Recognizing, managing, and responding to others' emotions. To truly develop genuine social intelligence, we must go beyond simply observing behavior or decoding words. We need to cultivate the ability to sense emotional undercurrents, those subtle yet powerful feelings that shape and steer conversations, whether acknowledged or not. Every person carries an emotional tone into an interaction, a kind of atmospheric presence that may not be obvious, yet it deeply influences the dynamic. Someone might smile while harboring deep resentment. Another might speak softly yet radiate frustration through their energy. Emotional awareness, therefore, requires both sensitivity and intention. It means tuning in, not just to what people say or show, but to what they feel, especially when those emotions hide beneath social niceties, politeness, or distraction. Recognizing these states involves noticing micro-expressions, shifts in voice, breathing patterns, pacing of speech, and other subtle cues that most overlook. Equally important is the discipline to remain emotionally centered ourselves, so we don't confuse our own inner noise with someone else's truth. When we're overly reactive or self-absorbed, our perception becomes clouded. True emotional awareness begins with a quiet internal posture, one that listens as much with the heart as with the ears. Over time, this posture trains us to sense when something feels off, when words don't match emotions, or when unspoken truths hang in the air. This isn't about prying or assuming, it's about creating space. When people feel emotionally seen without being judged or interrogated, they often open up more honestly and vulnerably. Emotional awareness becomes a gift, an invitation for truth, deeper connection, and real trust. In this way, emotional sensitivity is not weakness, it's relational strength. It allows us to connect not just on the surface of behavior, but in the depths of emotional reality, where meaning, trust, and real change live. Emotional regulation, responding instead of reacting. Once we can sense the emotional currents in others, the next essential skill is emotional regulation, the ability to manage our own internal responses so we can react with clarity, empathy, and composure. In moments of conflict, high-stakes discussions, or vulnerability, it's easy to be swept away by our own emotions. Our brain's limbic system, responsible for fight, flight, or freeze, often reacts before our rational mind has a chance to step in. This is why people say things they regret, raise their voice, shut down, or become defensive. It's not always intentional, it's simply untrained. Emotional regulation is that pause, the small but powerful moment when we take a breath, notice what's rising inside us, and choose our response instead of being driven by impulse. This is a learned skill, built over time through self-awareness, reflection, and intentional practice. It starts with recognizing our emotional triggers, what comments, tones, or actions make us feel invalidated, angry, dismissed, or afraid. Once we identify them, we can prepare strategies to remain calm when they appear. This might mean grounding ourselves with slow breathing, mentally labeling the emotion, or reminding ourselves of the bigger purpose behind the conversation. Socially intelligent people aren't those who never feel strong emotions, they're the ones who can stay present and composed while experiencing them. They know how to be angry without cruelty, hurt without shutting down, and passionate without overpowering others. Such regulated presence makes us trustworthy and influential because people sense safety with us. They know we won't explode, collapse, or walk away when things get hard. In leadership, this composure earns respect. In relationships, it transforms conflict into connection. In daily life, it gives us courage and grace with difficult people. Emotional regulation, in essence, is self-leadership, bringing the best of ourselves to every interaction, even under pressure. Comment, agree with you, if you've experienced the power of that pause. Emotional responsiveness, meeting others where they are. Understanding and managing emotions is only half the journey. The real transformation happens when we translate that awareness into action, responding in ways that are attuned, compassionate, and constructive. Emotional responsiveness is the art of meeting people where they are emotionally, not where we think they should be. It's listening with more than our ears and responding with more than solutions. When someone is frustrated, they often don't need advice, they need acknowledgement. When someone shares excitement, they want us to join in their joy, not dampen it with skepticism. This requires us to temporarily set aside our own agenda and step fully into the other person's emotional world. It also means adapting our tone, timing, and content to match the emotional state. If someone is deeply anxious, blunt facts may feel cold. A softer, validating tone might create the safety they need to think clearly. Conversely, if they're spiraling into overwhelm, giving calm and grounded energy may help stabilize them. Emotional responsiveness isn't about being fake or over-accommodating, it's about being strategically human. It's choosing responses that honor both the other person's truth and the integrity of the interaction. Sometimes it involves emotional labor, managing our own feelings to create a better emotional experience for someone else. While this can be demanding, it's also deeply rewarding. When people feel truly met, when their emotional reality is not only seen but skillfully responded to, they feel loved, respected, and empowered. Relationships deepen, conflicts de-escalate, and trust grows. In professional settings, emotional responsiveness can be the difference between being a manager and being a leader, between holding authority and holding influence. In personal life, it strengthens every bond worth keeping. Practicing this skill is a lifelong journey, but each success adds more empathy, kindness, and effectiveness to the world. And that, my friends, is the heart of social intelligence, not just understanding others, but lifting them higher. Subscribe for more ways to build unshakable social intelligence. Chapter 10: Navigating Difficult Conversations, Turning Tension into Trust. Understanding the landscape of difficult conversations. Difficult conversations aren't inherently negative. They are simply moments charged with emotion, uncertainty, and stakes that truly matter. They might involve addressing a breach of trust with a friend, giving tough feedback at work, confronting harmful behavior in a family member, or even saying no to something you care about. What makes them challenging isn't just the topic, it's the emotional terrain around it. Fear of conflict, fear of rejection, fear of losing the relationship, or not knowing how to express complex feelings. Most people approach such moments with a fight or flight mindset, either charging in too aggressively or avoiding them altogether. But neither works. Avoidance breeds resentment and corrodes connection, while aggression invites defensiveness and escalates tension. To navigate these conversations well, we must first acknowledge their complexity. It starts with preparing ourselves emotionally and mentally before stepping in. True success isn't just about being right, but about preserving dignity, ours and theirs. We must be intentional. What outcome do we truly want? What deeper need are we trying to express? Clarity in these questions keeps us grounded. It shifts the focus from unloading our truth to fostering mutual understanding. In reality, difficult conversations are less about winning and more about listening deeply, speaking clearly, and holding space for both perspectives to breathe. When we enter with curiosity instead of control, empathy instead of judgment, the conversation changes shape. Tension gives way to exploration, and opposition becomes an opportunity for collaboration. The best conversations, even the hardest ones, are transformative not because they avoid discomfort, but because they navigate it with care, courage, and conscious presence. Comment, agree with you, if you feel this. The power of framing and emotional tone. What we say matters, but how we say it often matters even more. In difficult conversations, tone is everything. An accusatory tone can turn a well-meaning point into an attack, while a gentle, sincere tone can make even hard truths easier to receive. Framing is about intentionally shaping how we present our message so it aligns with our intention and respects the other person's emotional state. This isn't manipulation, it's about owning our perspective without invalidating theirs. For example, instead of saying, "You never listen to me," we might say, "I feel unheard when we talk, and I'd love for us to understand each other better." This reframes the issue from blame to connection. It opens a door instead of building a wall. Thoughtful framing requires us to check our emotional tone. Are we tense, sarcastic, or guarded? Or are we calm, grounded, and open? People respond to tone intuitively, often reacting more to how we feel than to what we say. When we approach with a sincere desire to understand and be understood, we create psychological safety, a state where both people feel emotionally secure enough to be real. This safety allows truth to surface without defensiveness. Starting with warmth, curiosity, and humility creates a strong container for vulnerability. Within it, people are more willing to meet us halfway. They don't feel cornered, they feel seen. Before any difficult conversation, check your tone and reframe your message. Ask yourself, is my language clear but kind? Am I expressing feelings without assigning blame? Am I inviting dialogue or demanding compliance? These questions don't dilute the truth, they refine it, ensuring our message lands not as an attack, but as an offering, honest, courageous, and rooted in care. Listening as leadership, creating space for resolution. Many think difficult conversations are about speaking bravely, but often, our greatest power lies in listening. True listening is not passive. It's one of the most active and courageous acts we can bring into a tense exchange. It means quieting the mental noise of rebuttals, defenses, and assumptions long enough to actually hear the other person's experience. It's not about waiting for our turn to speak. It's about stepping into their emotional world with humility and openness. Through our presence, we communicate, "You matter. Your view matters. I'm here, and I'm listening." When someone feels genuinely heard, they no longer need to shout. Defenses soften, pain eases, and new possibilities emerge. Listening at this level doesn't mean we agree with everything. It means we validate the emotion, even if we question the conclusion. It means reflecting back what we hear, asking clarifying questions, and staying emotionally steady even when their words sting or surprise us. True listening is leadership because it guides the conversation away from conflict and toward connection. It models respect, fosters empathy, and creates the emotional space needed for resolution. When we finally speak, we do so with greater wisdom, because we've taken the time to understand before responding. Often, we discover that what we thought was the issue wasn't the true source of pain, or that our intentions were misunderstood. Such insights only come when we give others the dignity of being fully heard. In the end, difficult conversations succeed not because we avoid discomfort, but because we face it together, with steady presence and listening hearts. When both people feel seen and respected, even the hardest truths can land softly. Trust isn't broken by truth. It's broken when truth is delivered without care. And listening, my friends, is our most powerful instrument of repair. Subscribe for more. Chapter 11: The Art of Influence. Shaping Outcomes with Subtlety and Integrity. Influence is not about manipulation, coercion, or dominating others. True influence is about creating an environment where people feel seen, heard, and understood, where they are empowered to make choices aligned with their best interests, and often, with ours. It might sound paradoxical, but the real essence of influence lies in alignment, not force. The art of influencing begins with deeply understanding a person's needs, desires, fears, and motivations. It's about recognizing the inner conversations that shape their decisions and offering them paths that genuinely resonate with their values and goals. In every interaction, there are invisible forces at work: assumptions, biases, social norms, and emotional triggers that influence how people see us and the situation at hand. When we become aware of these forces, we can gently guide conversations toward outcomes that serve both sides. Unlike manipulation, which takes at someone else's expense, ethical influence seeks mutual benefit. It's an exchange, not a one-sided transaction. To influence effectively, we must first understand how people view their world, what drives them, and what makes them feel respected or disrespected. This awareness lays the foundation for influencing with integrity. Influence is about suggestion, not imposition, offering ideas and choices that lead others to think and act in ways aligned with their needs, even if they haven't fully recognized those needs yet. This is where subtlety matters. Influence rarely works through aggressive tactics. It thrives in the quiet moments of conversation, the pauses, the unspoken suggestions in our words, and the gestures that either reinforce or contradict them. The most skilled influences don't command or demand. They invite others to discover the value of an idea, a solution, or a perspective for themselves. This method blends art and science, requiring both emotional intelligence and mental clarity. It calls for patience, the ability to guide without shoving, and the wisdom to let others feel ownership over their decisions, even if we led them there. That's the paradox of influence. It's most powerful when it feels least forceful. Trust, the core of influence. Without trust, influence is nothing more than manipulation. People will not follow someone they do not trust, nor will they be persuaded by someone they doubt has their best interests at heart. That's why the first and most essential tool in the art of influence is authenticity. Authenticity is more than honesty. It's the consistent alignment of our words, actions, and intentions. It's showing up with integrity, wholeness, and without pretense. When others sense we are authentic, they open themselves to our influence. This authenticity must be visible in everything we do, in the transparency of our actions, the sincerity of our words, and the alignment of our values. When our thoughts, speech, and actions match, we send a powerful signal: you can trust me. Trust isn't built overnight. It grows slowly and steadily, not through grand gestures, but through consistent everyday actions. The more people see us living our values, the more secure they feel in our presence. They know we are not driven by hidden agendas, but by a genuine desire to help, serve, and connect. And here's the truth, my friends: authenticity isn't just about being real when it's comfortable. It also requires vulnerability, admitting mistakes and expressing sincere regret when we fall short. When we acknowledge our imperfections yet remain committed to improvement, we deepen trust. It creates a shared humanity. People realize we're not perfect, but we're real, and that makes them more open to our influence. Remember, influence is not a one-way street. We influence not by demanding obedience, but by engaging in mutually respectful relationships. This turns influence into a tool for growth, for both the influencer and the influenced. When we build influence through authenticity, we create trust strong enough to handle difficult situations, complex negotiations, and true leadership, where people walk with us, not blindly behind us. Comment, agree with you, if this resonates with your heart. The subtle techniques of influence. While authenticity is the foundation, certain psychological principles, used ethically, can amplify our ability to influence. 1. Reciprocity. People naturally respond positively when they feel they've received something of value. It doesn't have to be material, it could be our time, attention, or a genuine compliment. By offering something first, an insight, kindness, or simply a listening ear, we create a natural pull for others to give back. 2. Social proof. In uncertain situations, people often follow the crowd. When we show that others align with our perspective, through examples, testimonials, or collective agreement, it becomes easier for someone to adopt our viewpoint. This works because humans have a deep need to belong. 3. Scarcity. We value things more when they seem rare or limited. By highlighting the unique qualities, timeliness, or growth potential of an opportunity, we naturally increase its appeal. This is not about deception, it's about truthfully framing its uniqueness. 4. Authority. People are more likely to be influenced by those they see as credible. We don't need to be experts in everything, but we must position ourselves with confidence, backed by knowledge, experience, or proven results. 5. Consistency. Once someone commits to something, they're more likely to follow through, especially if their commitment is public or written. Encouraging small yeses early on paves the way for larger agreements later. When used with integrity, these techniques strengthen our influence without compromising trust. At its best, influence is not about pushing, it's about helping others see the value in our ideas, guiding them toward decisions that align with their own best interests, and doing it all with empathy, respect, and integrity. Subscribe for more insights so we can keep growing together, my friends. Chapter 12: Developing Empathy, the cornerstone of human connection. The nature of empathy: understanding beyond the surface. Empathy is the capacity to truly understand and share the feelings of another. It's the invisible thread that binds human relationships, creating a space where people feel seen, heard, and valued. But empathy is often misunderstood. It's not just feeling sorry for someone or mirroring their emotions, it runs far deeper. True empathy means stepping outside yourself and experiencing the world through another's eyes. It's the ability to recognize their emotions, understand the root causes behind them, and respond in a way that acknowledges and validates their experience. The first layer is cognitive empathy, understanding another's emotions and recognizing their perspective. This means putting yourself in their shoes, even if their world looks nothing like yours. It's not about agreeing with them, but about understanding without judgment. It involves active listening, asking thoughtful questions, and observing body language to gather clues about how they feel. The second layer is emotional empathy, actually resonating with what the other person feels. This isn't about getting lost in their emotions, but tuning in deeply enough to connect. Emotional empathy allows us to move beyond observation into genuine emotional attunement. The third layer is compassionate empathy, going beyond understanding and feeling to take meaningful action that eases another's burden. It's about translating your emotional connection into helpful, supportive acts. Empathy isn't a one-size-fits-all skill. In the workplace, it might mean understanding a colleague's frustration and offering practical help. In a personal relationship, it could mean sitting quietly with someone in grief, without rushing to fix things. Whatever the context, empathy is rooted in active listening, attentiveness, and a genuine desire to understand, connecting human to human, beyond words. When empathy is present, it creates a safe space for authentic connection to grow. People feel understood, appreciated, and supported. This strengthens trust, deepens relationships, and fosters a real sense of belonging. Active listening, the heart of empathy. Without active listening, empathy cannot exist. Active listening is more than simply hearing words. It's an intentional, focused, and present engagement with both the speaker's words and emotions. It starts by giving full attention, removing distractions, and resisting the urge to interrupt or solve the problem too soon. It involves both verbal cues, paraphrasing, asking clarifying questions, or affirming with short responses, and nonverbal cues, steady eye contact, open posture, and facing the speaker to show genuine engagement. The first step is being present, quieting your internal dialogue, letting go of judgments, and focusing entirely on the speaker. The second step is reflecting back, summarizing what you've heard to ensure accuracy. What I'm hearing is that you're feeling overwhelmed by the project deadlines. Is that right? This shows you're not just hearing, but processing their thoughts and emotions. The third step is empathizing, acknowledging and validating their feelings. I can imagine how stressful that must be for you. It sounds like a lot to handle. This isn't about fixing the issue, but letting them know, your experience matters, and I understand how you feel. Empathy thrives when we resist the urge to give quick solutions and instead hold space for someone to express themselves. Sometimes, the most powerful gift we can offer is our full, patient attention. When we listen with empathy, people feel valued, and that, my friends, is the true heartbeat of human connection. Comment, agree with you, if you feel this. Cultivating empathy, practices for deeper connection. While some may naturally lean toward empathy, it's a skill we can all strengthen through intentional practice. One approach is perspective taking, consciously imagining yourself in another person's situation. Ask yourself, what might they be going through right now? How might they be feeling? This helps us expand our ability to connect with people from different backgrounds and experiences, breaking down biases and assumptions. Another approach is emotional recognition, becoming more aware of emotions, both yours and others. Pay attention to facial expressions, body language, and tone of voice. This allows you to respond with greater sensitivity, matching your words and actions to their emotional state, while also managing your own reactions. A third practice is mindfulness, being fully present without judgment. Mindfulness quiets mental distractions, sharpens emotional awareness, and deepens your ability to respond with patience, kindness, and understanding. Acts of service, like volunteering, also nurture empathy by exposing us to diverse perspectives and needs. Serving others reminds us of our shared humanity and builds bridges across differences. Finally, self-compassion is essential. It's hard to offer empathy when we're harsh with ourselves. By treating ourselves with kindness and accepting our own imperfections, we create the emotional space to extend that same understanding to others. Empathy isn't just a skill, it's a way of living. It's about valuing connection, honoring understanding, and showing mutual respect. The more we practice, the more we enrich our relationships and contribute to a world where people feel truly seen, heard, and supported. Chapter 13, Conflict Resolution, Turning Challenges into Opportunities for Growth. The nature of conflict, understanding the roots and dynamics. Conflict is a natural part of human interaction. At some point, differing viewpoints, misunderstandings, or misaligned interests will inevitably lead to tension. But, my friends, conflict, when approached with the right mindset, doesn't have to be destructive. In fact, it can be a powerful catalyst for growth, innovation, and even deeper connection. The first step in effective conflict resolution is understanding that most disagreements arise from unmet needs or desires. When core needs, whether for respect, validation, or understanding, are threatened, emotions flare. And often, these emotions overshadow the logical or factual aspects of the disagreement. Recognizing this emotional undercurrent is crucial. Conflict is rarely just about the issue itself. It's often about how people feel about that issue. This is where emotional intelligence becomes our greatest ally. It's not enough to address the surface problem. We must also address the emotions tied to it. When we ignore these emotional dynamics, conflict can quickly escalate, leading to defensiveness, anger, or even complete withdrawal. But when we take the time to understand the feelings fueling the tension, we can move past surface disagreements and reach deeper understanding. Another key truth: conflict often stems from different perspectives. Two people can experience the exact same situation in entirely different ways depending on their values, upbringing, and life experiences. Accepting that each of us views the world through a unique lens allows us to approach disagreements with curiosity instead of judgment. Instead of thinking my way is the only way, we open ourselves to discovering why the other person feels as they do. The real goal in conflict resolution is not to win, but to create an outcome that respects both perspectives, meets both sets of needs, and strengthens the relationship. When handled well, conflict becomes an opportunity for both individuals to grow and build a stronger bond. Strategies for resolving conflict: approaches that lead to positive outcomes. Once we understand the emotional and perspective-based roots of conflict, the next step is to use strategies that make both sides feel heard, respected, and understood. 1. Active listening. As we explored earlier, active listening means not just hearing someone's words, but truly understanding the emotions behind them. It requires being fully present, resisting the urge to interrupt, and showing, through tone, eye contact, and body language, that we are engaged and empathetic. When we listen actively during a disagreement, we validate the other person's feelings. Often, people simply want to feel heard. And once they feel understood, they're far more willing to work toward a solution. 2. Use I statements instead of you statements. Saying, "You always interrupt me," puts the other person on the defensive. But "I feel frustrated when I'm interrupted" focuses on our experience without blaming. This small language shift can dramatically lower defensiveness and open the door to productive dialogue. 3. Reframing the situation. Reframing means turning a negative or hostile statement into a neutral or positive one. Instead of "you're being unreasonable," we can say, "It seems like we have different priorities. Let's try to understand each other's perspective." This shift moves the conversation from blame to collaboration. 4. Finding common ground. In almost every conflict, there's something both sides care about. In the workplace, it might be the success of a project or the well-being of the team. Identifying these shared goals creates a foundation for resolution, reminding us that we're actually working toward the same bigger picture. 5. Seeking win-win solutions. A win-win outcome means both sides feel their needs were met fairly. This requires creativity, flexibility, and willingness to explore alternative solutions. Instead of one side losing, both sides walk away with something valuable. Remember, resolving conflict is not about defeating someone, it's about moving forward together. Comment, agree with you, if you believe that's the better way. The role of emotional regulation. Staying calm in the face of conflict. One of the hardest parts of conflict is managing our own emotions. It's easy to get caught up in the heat of the moment and let anger or frustration take over. But emotional regulation, the ability to recognize, manage, and guide our emotions, is a key skill for resolution. Step 1. Self-awareness. Pay attention to the signals your body sends when emotions rise: tension in your shoulders, a racing heartbeat, clenched fists. These cues warn us that we're being triggered. Step 2. Pause before reacting. If emotions spike, take a deep breath, step away for a moment, and give yourself space to think. That pause prevents rash words or actions you might regret, and helps you return to the discussion with a clear head. Step 3. Reframe your thoughts. Our emotional reactions are shaped by how we interpret events. If we see a disagreement as a personal attack, we'll likely respond with anger. But if we view it as a misunderstanding or difference in perspective, we approach it with curiosity instead of hostility. Step 4. Practice mindfulness. Simple practices like deep breathing or meditation help keep us grounded during tense conversations, so we remain calm and focused. Step 5. Lead with empathy. When we truly understand and acknowledge the other person's feelings, we're less likely to react defensively. Empathy creates space for patience, kindness, and resolution. Emotional regulation doesn't mean ignoring our feelings. It means choosing responses that align with our values and long-term goals. By staying composed, we ensure the resolution process is constructive and collaborative. Together, my friends, when we combine emotional intelligence, effective strategies, and empathy, we can turn even the most difficult conflicts into opportunities for connection, understanding, and growth. Subscribe for more empowering lessons we can grow through, together. Thank you for listening to Social Intelligence here on Splendor. We hope this journey into understanding human connections and mastering social skills has inspired you to build deeper, more meaningful relationships. If you found value in this audiobook, don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you never miss out on our future content. Also, feel free to share your thoughts and experiences in the comments. We'd love to hear from you. Until next time, keep shining with confidence and empathy. This is Splendor, wishing you the best on your path to social mastery.